Hi everybody. We're going to be using Canvas as our learning management system for our class, and Canvas has sort of some funny things about it, and so just to make everything go smoothly from the beginning, I'm just going to ask you to watch this and just to make sure we're on the same page as to how to get content out of Canvas, how to turn assignments in on Canvas, how to communicate through Canvas. Because there are, as I said, it's a little bit wonky. So let's start. All right, all of my classes are organized by modules, right? It's the organizational structure of a Canvas course. And I use this to make sure that we proceed in order because I have sort of looked over people's shoulders as they navigate through Canvas. And I know that people oftentimes will, modules, what's that thing? Are we talking about Legos or something? And then they click right on assignments. Okay, well, to me, the quizzes and assignments are reliant on the readings, and so therefore I structure my class this way. And let me show you what I mean. If you look at that arrow in the upper left-hand corner, you can see that I actually set up my classes where there isn't even an assignments tab over there. Okay, now I know you can do it anyway, but I want you to click on modules to get to the content, and when you do, you see something like this. Okay. And this is nice because as those little arrows will show you, it gives you the due dates and it just puts the stuff in order, because you want to make sure you've, done the readings, watched any videos before you've taken the quiz, that kind of stuff. It's nice. It makes sure that, everybody stays on the same page throughout the semester. And when you do it, you're going to go from the top to the bottom, linearly through the content. There's no optional content. There's no real reason to skip around. So this is the way my courses are organized. Now, inside of Canvas, all right, you have to know what those module buttons mean. We have content pages. This is where you do readings or watch videos or download a PDF and read it, or it will refer to a book chapter. So content, this is the content of the class. And in all of my classes, even if it's an online class, obviously you're going to use modules. And if it's a face-to-face class, I actually will put almost everything on the module. And so therefore, if you miss a class, hit the module first before you ask me, what did you miss? Because you can find out what you missed. Quizzes, okay? My quizzes, some people hate them. They're not memorization quizzes. They are what's called synthesis quizzes, where I'm expecting you to read the content and really process what it's saying. And so don't start these until you have done the readings and read the little caption at the top of the quiz because it will tell you, what you should know before you start. We've got assignments. There is going to be a part in this little tutorial about assignments, but read the specs, okay? Like that's one of the number one mistake people make with assignments is they don't read the specifications. And the number two mistake that people make with assignments is they don't turn in everything. Okay, like for instance, with a video, I almost always will want a storyboard. If you're going to do work with archival media, I'm going to want you to cite that media. So read it. And then look at the rubric. I mean, every assignment, the rubric is right there. It's not going to be a mystery how I'm going to grade it, and I'll get into that in a moment. And then we have discussion boards. And I do grade the discussion boards, otherwise no one would do them. And so take a look, and also there will be rubrics there. And I'll get into discussion boards in a minute. So let's talk about content pages. All right. This is the main chunk of learning in our class. Is the content page. They're pretty straightforward, except for Panopto, which I'll show you. This is what one looks like. Okay, that arrow right there. Now I pointed this out because a Panopto link looks like kind of any other link, and maybe you're in a hurry, maybe you're a slacker or something. You're like, I'll read this link anyway. But don't confuse the Panopto links with other external readings. And you'll generally, what I do is, as you can see here, it says, here is my lecture on the basics of pixel graphics. Okay. Well, anytime you see that wording on one of my content pages, that means it links to Panopto. And Panopto is our online lecture delivery tool. So Panopto, okay, I had a wrestling match with this program when they first brought it out, but now it actually is a really nice piece of software because it captures multiple streams of information simultaneously. And so that's why I wanted to go over with you how to watch a Panopto lecture. And I know that might seem kind of weird, but follow me, because there are things that you maybe wouldn't figure out on your own. When you click a Panopto lecture, this is probably about what it's going to look like at the beginning. Okay, Panopto is based on something called Microsoft Silverlight, which is actually the same thing that Netflix uses. It's Microsoft's version of Flash. Long story short. Okay, and so on my computer, my Microsoft Silverlight plugin is not up to date. Probably yours is not going to be too. Update it, it would be a good idea. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. Okay, so in my case, when I click on Panopto, you can see I get this yellow bar at the top. So you should look up there on your web browser, and you can see that it says, mine says, you know, don't run this or run this time. So I'm going to click run this time. In Windows, that sort of run this time warning often will be in those little windows you're seeing down there. See where the puzzle piece is? It might say there. So when you go to watch a Panopto lecture, it might work, might not work, but if it doesn't, you can still sort of nudge your web browser along to look at it. Inside the Panopto interface, and what I like about it is Panopto captures video. As you can see that little face, that's where you'd see me. Okay, but it also can capture a slideshow and screen capture at the same time. So the top arrow, the highest red arrow you're seeing there, right now it's pointing to something that says slides. But a lot of times what you're going to see there is a second tab that will say screen capture. So what you have to do is you have to sometimes, like, let's say I'm maybe explaining something in Photoshop, or I'm explaining something in Adobe After Effects. Well, I might have a slideshow going, but then at the same time I might flip over to show you how to do a manipulation, let's say in Adobe After Effects. So you have to know where those tabs are, and I will tell you, but you're going to have to switch between the slideshow and the screen capture. The lower arrow is where we have things like comments and notes. Okay, look at those tabs as well. What I do is after I record a lecture in Panopto, I will watch it again, and then I will catch myself missing things. Okay, not a lot, or maybe I will watch it and realize that a certain area could use more explanation. So what I do is I then will add comments and notes explaining myself. And so those are other tabs you can fool with, and it kind of makes it interactive, you know, that you can flip between the screen capture and the slideshow, the notes and the comments. And I think you might even be able to ask questions there. I'm not sure. But the idea is that just understand that there are multiple streams of content going at the same time in Panopto, and those tabs are your way of navigating that content. All right. I hate sounding like a jerk here, okay? But as you can see at the top, don't make me say I told you so. All right. Now, I made this video showing people how to use Canvas at the beginning of last semester, and I would say at least 1 out of every 5 assignments still was turned in wrong in my online class. Okay, that's not a good sign, you know, that your professor makes a video teaching you how to turn in assignments and you're still not turning assignments in the right way. And it's not totally the student's fault. I understand that turning in assignments in Canvas is strange, and so let me go over it with you. But the idea being that from the professor's perspective, it is impossible for me to tell the difference between someone who turned something in wrong and someone who didn't turn in something at all. Okay, and that's why I made this video, and that's why we're talking here right now. So here's student view. Okay, so this is what you will see. So for instance, here's an assignment called Your Map. It's from my graphics class where students basically make maps. Okay, and you can see that little arrow at the top that says Submit Assignment. You click that. That's pretty intuitive. Here's the part that stings. Okay, now first at the top arrow, okay, says the description of the content. Okay, you should read that very carefully. On most assignments, I actually will put example projects of different grades. Like, this is what an A project looks like. This is what a B project looks like. This is what an F project looks like. So look at those. Okay, at the bottom is the rubric, and the rubric is how I grade. It's pretty straightforward, and so therefore grade yourself. Like, look at it and say, okay, you know, do I have 2 pages? Do I have all the assignment parts? That kind of thing. So look at those carefully. But here's the weird part. It's in turning things in. Okay. Now, Canvas is funny because what I assumed was an and statement is actually an or statement. To clarify, my assignments sometimes have a writing component, they have a file component, and sometimes a web component. So there's three things that you have to turn in on quite a few assignments. You make a PDF document, you write a goal statement for it, and you put it on your blog. So you write something, you make something, and you put something online. Canvas doesn't like this, or at least it has problems with this. Let me explain. Okay, up top. Now, this assignment has two parts. All right, it has a file upload, like a PDF file or a video, and then it has a website URL. And so, for instance, in some of my assignments, students have to keep a blog, and then they have to post their assignments online. Okay, well, you have to put the pieces in the right areas. Okay, so you put the file where it says file, and your website where the website is. And then that yellow arrow is comments. And so if there is a written part and it's not extensive writing, like maybe it's just a couple goal statements or some resource citations, you can copy and paste it into there. I would not write a paragraph in that little slot. That's gonna give you a headache. Okay, but here's the tricky part. Okay, so you put the pieces in the right tabs. There might be a text entry one. I forgot about that. Okay, and then you can see under website URL, there is that other little writing area you can write in there. Okay, but the idea is that you have to click submit assignment on each tab. You have to click submit assignment 3 times if there are 3 parts. Now, what would make sense is that you could put your file upload there, your text entry there, and your website URL there, and click submit assignment 1 time. Unfortunately, Canvas often will not take all 3 parts. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. And the problem is it gives you the impression that it does take all 3 parts. And so it's not really the student's fault if the parts don't get submitted. But the idea is that you, as a student, to just ensure I get everything, you have to click submit assignment on each tab 3 times. It stinks. Okay. Here's where it even gets more confusing for students. After you've turned something in, you can check what you have submitted. So you can see there where it says submission details. Okay. And unfortunately, it is only going to show you the last thing you turned in. Okay. That stinks. Okay. But just what you're going to have to do is just click submit assignment on all 3 parts. And it might kind of warn you. Do you want to resubmit the assignment? And you want to say, yes, I do want to resubmit the assignment. Even though you're not resubmitting it, you're just submitting a different part. Now, this is what I get, okay? When I'm grading your assignment, you can see there's like a little drag down box, and I will see multiple parts, and I can't miss that, okay? It's not like if you click submit assignment 3 times, and it might cue you to say, are you resubmitting? I will see the multiple submissions. It's the first thing I see, okay? Because you can also see that right below it is view rubric, okay? And so like when I'm grading, I go to that upper right-hand corner, and I will see that you have submitted multiple parts. Okay, so I can't say it more clearly. You click submit assignment on each part to guarantee it has been submitted. Okay, Canvas will make it look like, if you don't do it, it will make it look like you're submitting 3 things with 1 click of submit assignment, but it will not submit 3 things when you click it. Sad but true. Okay, on to discussion boards. Discussion boards, they're pretty straightforward. Okay, there are rubrics. Look for the rubric. Make sure you're, pre-grade yourself. But there is one thing that people had trouble with. Images. Now, my classes are in visual communication. We are going to be communicating with images. It's kind of self-explanatory. Well, if you have to add an image to a discussion board, you're going to click that little tree at the top there. It's going to cue you with this. Unfortunately, it won't allow you to upload images to Canvas. I'm not exactly sure why. All right, so what you're going to need to do is paste the web address of images that you find in the URL thing, or put them to Flickr. So if you want to upload it, you don't upload it directly to Canvas. If you want to use an image in a discussion board, you upload it, start a Flickr account. You should have one anyway, and then put your URL there. Okay, how do you get an image URL? Well, first, you should know what you're submitting, okay? Don't submit a thumbnail, okay? That doesn't make any sense at all. Thumbnails are small, low-resolution images that are actually stored, I think, within Google. So don't use the thumbnail, okay? If you're using a Google image search or something, you want to click on the actual image itself. Like you can see the red arrow to the right says, click on where it says view image to see the image. Now, I'm being a little inefficient here, but so the yellow arrow is pointing to what you get when you right click on it, on an image, where you say copy image URL, and that's how you get the web address that you then put in the discussion board where it asks for image URL. So you right click on an image to get the address, the web address, and submit that. Okay, but don't use thumbnails, and try to get to the image itself best you can. Next one. This is a big one. Okay, I don't know. Don't say thy. I don't know why that says at the top. Okay, but Canvas's messaging system is an abomination. Okay, it is awful. And I feel bad. I know people made Canvas, put a lot of work into it. But the idea is it is not a good communication system. Canvas does an okay job in, delivering content, but it does not do a good job in messaging. Let me explain. This is what it looks like when I grade somebody's assignment, okay? Where you can see at the top that I have the sort of the multiple submissions thing, so I can make sure I get all the parts. I would click on the rubric in order to grade the person, and then down at the bottom is where I give you comments and feedback, and that's what I do. I mean, I will generally write, give you input on every single assignment. Okay, so that means I am writing a lot of feedback in that comments box at the bottom. Now here's part one as to why Canvas's messaging system is terrible. Now you can see where that yellow arrow, it points to the word thanks. Now this isn't a real assignment, I just wrote that in there, thanks. But watch what happens. So this is a student assignment. I am writing this assignment, thanks. Thank you for turning it in. Guess what happens next? That goes to my inbox like it's a new message. That makes no sense. And so therefore, when I grade 40 student assignments and I give them 40 comments, in my inbox in Canvas, it appears like I have 40 new messages. I have no idea why I would do that. That makes no sense that my own comments on assignments are then delivered to my own email within Canvas as if they're new messages. Okay, and so therefore, if you send me a message within Canvas, it's going to potentially get lost in this sea of weird messages from myself that Canvas delivers to me. It doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, and so that's part one. Okay, so Canvas's messaging system does this weird thing where the instructor feedback comes back to the instructor as new messages. Why? I have no idea. But part two is even worse. See that spinny thing there? That little spinny thing the arrow is pointing to? On each message in Canvas, when I click on the message, first, where the message will be shown, that thing spins for a good 10 seconds or more, 15 seconds. And I know what you're saying, well, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. But when you're dealing with 100 messages and you have to sit there and click and it spins and spins and spins and spins and spins, that's annoying, okay? And if it was only spinning there, that'd be one thing. But then after that thing spins, where the message shows up, it then spins on the list for another 10 or 15 seconds. And so therefore, it takes me 30 seconds, I would say, to read each email. Just to get Canvas to show me the email and register that I have read it takes like 20 to 30 seconds per email. Okay? So therefore, it adds half an hour of time for me to clean out my inbox. And remember, it is sending me all of these messages from myself of feedback. And so therefore, it's sending me all of these junk emails from myself. And then it takes me a long time to clean those messages out. Okay, I hate Canvas's messaging system with a passion. It is horrible, right? So if you need to send me a message, please do so by regular email, okay? And remember, I am on FaceTime all the time during business hours. I'm on Skype all the time during business hours. I'm on Gmail, Google Video Chat. I'm on that all the time during business hours. Okay, and so, and then I have my USF email. Okay, and so Canvas's messaging system, I'm begging you, it is the communication system of last resort. Okay, it's just a very strange, slow, and weird messaging system. All right. So that's the messaging system. So again, I prefer FaceTime, stop by my office, Skype, Google Video, anything but Canvas's messaging system, please. All right, and this is where we're getting towards the end here. Okay, you've got to make things public, and hopefully you know what public means. Like, for instance, well, you just know, like, your Facebook, people are starting to get more familiar with this, with things like Facebook, that you have things that everyone online can see, like a public blog, and then you have things that you want to be very private, like your email, or even, your Facebook. Like, some people don't want outsiders to look into their Facebook accounts. It's, totally understandable. Okay, but the problem is the tools we use in this class, like for instance, video you're going to send to me through YouTube or Vimeo. You can have videos on YouTube. You can have blogs that are private, that you can set up that only a few people can see. Okay, and so therefore you have to make sure everything you turn in is set to public. Tumblr can do this, YouTube, Vimeo. So there are files that are visible only to you. Now, if a file is visible only to you, I can't grade it and I can't see it. Okay, so set them to public before you turn them in. And here's the problem, okay, is that again, it is impossible for me to tell the difference between a student who didn't turn in an assignment and a student who intentionally turns in a video file that is not set to public, if you understand what I mean. Okay. And so if you want, now that's why, even if you make this mistake, I have a late penalty, I will still consider it late. Okay, you can, so therefore, if I can't see your assignment, it is not turned in. Right now. And so what you do is you go to a different web browser. If you're logged in Google on Mozilla Firefox, then switch to Internet Explorer. Make sure you're not logged into Google, and then see if I can see it. Okay, and so, or better yet, look on somebody else's computer. If you're really unsure of this concept, you really want to make sure that I can see your stuff, then make sure you look at it, and the addresses you submit are in another web browser. Okay, in a web browser that you are not logged into. Because as I said, turning something to private is the same as not turning it in, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, and the idea is that, and I hate to do this, but, it's like, for instance, I had a student when I first started here who would turn in zip files, okay, and I was spending a lot of time thinking that this student's zip files, if we know what a zip file is, a compressed group of files, I thought his zip files had corrupted, and I spent probably a good part of a morning trying to figure out how to unzip this student's zip files. And then I learned from another professor what he was doing is he was submitting corrupt junk files as a zip file. That way I would then write back to him and say, your file is corrupt. Can you resubmit it? And he was doing this intentionally to buy himself more time on assignments. Okay, well, first, the assignment is late, but also that's sort of crappy because I spent a lot of time trying to unzip his zip files, and so therefore, I have to do this. Okay, so basically, if it's private, it's not turning it in. Okay, if you submit a zip file or something that's corrupt, it's not turning it in, and there was a glitch when I turned it in, or the file went corrupt. That's kind of the dog ate my homework. Okay, if you wait till the very last minute and the assignment's due at midnight and you turn it in at 11:59, don't tell me that there was a glitch. It probably is something on your end. Okay. And so, just to close, turning things in more than a few minutes before the deadline is the best defense to problems in Canvas. Thanks a lot. Good luck.